Hello everyone, and welcome back to Golf with Your Friends, Level Editor with me, Bear. Today you'll see we have a dark red skybox around us today. We're going to start from scratch on a new course, a brand new map. We're choosing this dark purple colored putting surface here from the Corrupted Forest pack. I'm trying something a little different today with the video. I'm going to actually just do one hole today and try to really show you the entire process with very little editing or cutaways. I want to kind of just show all the little tweaks and ideas that I try to come up with and the mistakes that come along the way. I think it's important to kind of show the whole process and not just speed ahead all the time and show you all the good stuff. So today I want to kind of show you the whole process, pun intended, and I want to just let you see, a little bit of how behind the scenes works when it comes to play testing these levels in real time. What works, what doesn't work, how I kind of come to the decisions that I've made. And you'll see there's a lot of deleting happening, there's a lot of items spawning in and out. I'm just trying to figure out, there's a lot of adjusting the height. Right now you can see I'm trying to figure out how far I have to work with for this pipe, this fake hole that shoots the ball down. I don't want to run out of room below, so I'm making sure I raise everything up. And now we are grabbing these S ramps here just to give a little bit of elevation to our hole. And you'll see I'm going to drag it past, and I have a little bit of an idea at this moment. I'm like, okay, I think I know what I want to do with the beginning of this hole. I want to have it to where when you putt it over this hill, I want to force the player to pick one of three holes. I know, to get started it's kind of a tough decision, but don't worry, we'll adjust the hole order. This doesn't actually end up being the first hole, I believe. So just the first one we made of the course. Sometimes that happens, but you can see me kind of doing my flyby where I get down low and take a look at things before I go into the playtest mode, just because I can kind of guesstimate if it's going to even, work right. And now we're going to go through the Corrupted Forest walls, and I immediately am like, I don't know how I feel about the wood wall and the fact that it doesn't fit. You can kind of see me just kind of deciding what to do. So for now, we'll just kind of do our actual putting green walls, just to get ourselves ready for playtesting. But again, going back to this new style of video, I want to really show you guys, it doesn't take forever long to make a course, but it can take some time, and I figured it's important to kind of show you guys the whole process. So I kind of want to try something different with this playlist of videos. I want to take more time and make each video about each hole. So maybe like episode 1's hole 1, and then episode 2 is hole 2, etc., etc. That way I can go a little bit more in depth and take my time and just give a little bit more detailed descriptions and analysis of what's going on. So let me know if you like that idea or if you think that's boring. Either way, I'll keep doing it for a little bit and we'll see how it goes. But yeah, going back to this certain hole right here, I'm kind of flying around, getting an idea now of, okay, so at the beginning of the hole, we got our 3 holes set up. I have to kind of make a decision of what the second half of this hole is going to do. And in doing so, we're deciding, which of these 3 holes is the correct option. Correct being, which of these 3 holes gives the player the best line for the best score. Constantly flying around, getting an idea of what is going to be possible. Even before I even play test it, I'm kind of jumping ahead a bit. I'm thinking, okay, this obviously right here is going to need a corner to get around this turn faster and maintain your speed. You'll see me kind of fly around too towards that beginning. Anytime you have a ramp, like an S ramp or a straight up ramp or any change in elevation, it's important to make sure that the players accidentally or on purpose, voluntarily can't, break the level, so to speak. You want to make sure that you're keeping in mind you're giving them a ramp, and they're going to Dukes of Hazzard it. And if you give them the option, they're going to want to. Trust me. And then I'll do it even. So anytime I'm designing a level, and you can see the lower elevation down here from this angle, you could easily ramp up there. So we'll have to keep that in mind when doing these certain walls here. And now we've made the decision. I believe this is where we're going to go out. And I'm also going to turn it 90 degrees, and we're going to put the flag out here. So in doing so, you'll see that middle hole up there at the top of the screen. That's going to be the one that you're going to want to hit. So you're going to want to go over this hill, dodge the first one, and go down the second hole. If you go in the first one here, it won't be the end of the world. You'll still have a decent shot. But we do want to punish the player that goes way too hard and ends up in that back hole back there. So you'll see that's why we put that 90-degree triangle block back there. And now we're just filling in the walls again, just getting it ready for our first playtest. In the last few episodes, I've been kind of speeding through this process, but I, figured, it is not that bad of a process to watch, and, who knows, maybe someone will learn something. You'll notice I'm able to switch between transform tool, rotate tool, and move tool without scrolling my mouse cursor up to the right anymore. And that's because I learned, finally, some keybinds. If you press R, it will let you rotate the piece. It'll bring up those little circles to let you rotate. If you press F, it'll let you grab them and drag them around the map. And if you press T, that's how you transform things. And you can make them longer, shorter, taller, wider, etc. And that really does help. It cuts down a lot on time. You'll see how I'm not having to move my mouse cursor all the way up to the screen. I'm able to just quickly make decisions. The only time I really have to is when I'm getting into that integer spot there with the XYZ coordinates, just to go in and manually change something. Which again, I have found, I like to try to click and drag with the transform tool, but I've noticed it is kind of finicky. So it's best to sometimes just keep it simple, keep things, rounded integers so that everything can just kind of snap into place. And really that is kind of a good segue into my next point. This course, the goal for this course, for us, for me and for you, we want to try to make this course tight. And I don't mean cool tight. Obviously we want it to be tight, but I want it to feel like a city. I want it to feel jam-packed full of levels and courses and holes all stacked over each other. I don't want this to feel like the last Bears Cove we made, where everything was really far away and we used the whole world. My goal, if anything, is to use less of the world. I want to really, it's kind of a goal. I want to try different things. So last one, my goal was to make a big open world map. And now this one, I want to try the opposite. I want to try to condense the world as small as I can get it and make it feel almost, and my goal, my hope is, when I do that, it'll really feel like a real mini putt-putt course that you'd see in real life. Obviously not, because we're going to put some crazy stuff in here, but I want it to feel like the course almost feels organic, like you could stand in it and see the next hole, or see the hole you were just at, and look behind you and look in front of you and say, oh yeah, I feel like I'm actually progressing, like chronological order, it makes sense. It's those little details that make or break it for me, to be honest, with a map, because I wanted to show that the creator was, thinking of the audience too. I want them to, we're going to fix this really quick. I wanted to know that the creator, cares about, the level being fun and it looking good and all that good stuff. So I'm just rambling, but isn't that the point? But yeah, so we're moving this 90-degree block. We're just kind of looking, flying back around, getting an understanding of what our shot's going to do. I like to do this a lot of the time in my head before I go play testing things, just because I want to know, ahead of time. Here I'm trying to figure out how are we going to help this ball. If you go long and you're way back there with that 90-degree block, yeah, that'll help you, but how do we cover up these ugly spots? We'll use these, but also, what do we put in this middle area so that we don't affect the ball coming out of that middle hole, you know, the correct route. We don't want to punish the player, so we need to put something there that will allow the person who didn't hit the correct route to still have an okay shot. And you'll see here in a second we're going to fix that problem. First, we're trying to make it look pretty though, with this trim and all these blocks here, little logs. And I think I mentioned this in the previous playthrough at Bear's Cove, but this game really can just steal your soul. You can just spend hours making tiny minute adjustments here and there to try to get everything just perfect. And so this course for me is a challenge to myself to allow myself to use the snap tool more, because I feel like Bear's Cove, I was using it, but I was misusing it too, and I was making some holes very difficult on myself. And I think that's an important part of game design, is knowing the limitations of the game engine and the blocks and everything you're working with. So we're jumping in right now, and we're just playtesting. We're going to hit the ball, we're going to pretend like we're the new player playing this world for the first time, and we're trying to get an understanding of what the goal is here. I didn't put a flag stick in, but that's okay. So already I know I want to put something in that corner block there so that I can get the ball to this hole a lot easier. And here's the back one I was talking about, when you hit it a little too far. This is probably the worst option of the bunch of the three. This is the bad one. So you'll see here, I'm trying to figure out, so that, I mean, that's great and all, but I'd like it to where if you're skilled and you're good with angles, maybe you hit off that block there and then there's another block. But it's difficult because I have to figure out something there which won't block or hinder that pipe, the ball dropping from that pipe. And sometimes it's good to just fly around and think. So I'm kind of flying through again. I'm just using my imagination to pretend I'm putting the ball. I'm just kind of pretending what block, what shape, what could I do? And of course, the trusty corner piece. Wrong way. There we go. And then we'll just turn the snap off probably, and I think we're going to try to probably center this here over the hole. A little trick is if you use the snap tool and just set it to half, it'll just cut things in half, which also is a little helpful. You need to do that. We'll push these close together. Get rid of that little ugly gap in the middle there. And I think that's a lot better than what it was, and I don't think that should affect the second hole. We're going to try to get it here. There we go. So yeah, that rolled right over it, and it's not affecting it at all. I do want to put one in that corner, I forgot, so let's go ahead and do that now. Turn our snap back to 1, grab our block, press R to rotate, F to grab and move. And I like to turn snap off and use the T for transform and just increase it. 1.25 works because you see how it just gets rid of those, it just puts it flush to the wall, so it goes right through the wall and there's no gap, because sometimes I've noticed there's a little gap there, it'll eat your shot. Hands up, we're going down. You know, I think one of the reasons I really do enjoy this game and the level editor aspect of it is I really like building worlds that you can, you know, actually move around. It's kind of fun to know I built this, and you know, I troubleshooted all the problems, and it should be fixed, shouldn't be broken, but there's always a way to find a broken way. Like right here, we're just going to try to break this. Like, I'm always trying to come up with ways, like what would I try to do if this wasn't my creation. I was just trying to get the best score and cheat, so to speak, try to cheese the level. And it looks like there's probably a way to get down here, but I don't even know if you want to get down here that way. Like, I think it'd be better to just go for the Over here, I don't know, but again, it's always good to play test, like I said earlier, with that elevation. Anytime you give the player a ramp especially, you want to make sure that they're not just going to ramp to your previous hole, or the next hole, or just skip your hole that you intended for them not to skip. But a cool thing about this game is that you actually have tools at your disposal that you can make it so that you reward the player for thinking outside of the box. In those instances, it's really, really rewarding. The part of this game that is kind of fun too is coming up with new ideas. You can't just keep making the same hole over and over again, or else it'll get repetitive. So part of the allure and the charm of this game for me is it keeps my brain fresh and it keeps me thinking, you know, in different ways. How can I utilize the same blocks, essentially, the same tools? But, you know, with music, it's kind of the same thing, right? You're using the same instruments everyone else has used, but you're just using them in a different way to make your song. Now, I'm kind of looking at everything, and I'm wondering, how elevated do we want this? There is a trick. Since I don't have everything built yet, this is all of it. We can just Control A to select everything. And I'm just going to drag it down. This is really helpful. You do notice there is a Groups tab over there on the right. I tried to use that, and I could not figure it out. So if anyone has any tips on that, please let me know. I'm sure it's probably really nice to just make everything in hole 1, group 1, but I tried that one time and it kind of backfired, so I'm kind of hesitant to try it again. But if anyone has any luck with the grouping, or has a tutorial they recommend I watch, please let me know, because I'm sure it's a helpful tool. It's there for a reason, so. But yeah, now becomes our masonry era. We're going to put bricks down. We're going to be bricklayers for a while, so enjoy this part. I actually do really like how satisfyingly everything snaps into place. It's really nice to watch how the patterns line up for the most part. Sometimes when you get those elevation change blocks, they don't line up very well. And again, on this part, my only tip would be to fly around multiple times, or when you play through your level, try to find places that you don't normally go, because you'll always find a gap. I always find a gap in the wall. I always forget which one of these coordinates is the right one. That's not it either. Must be Y. There we go. So yeah, I know you could stack these probably, but I like the look of just long... also with my walls, like the putting green walls, you'll notice I transform those to just be one long piece. I'm sure that's bothering the heck out of someone, but I actually like the look of it. So I try to keep, you know, things... For the most part, I try to keep them looking the same all around. So you'll see me trying to turn everything around, make it look right. I'm kind of nitpicky about that sort of thing. It's one of my flaws, but turn it into a strength somehow. And that's looking pretty good. We're almost done with our walls here. Just kind of flying through, making sure that that little post we put in isn't going to be too much. It's not going to jut out too much. Turn our snap back on here, and we're going to just finish up these bricks so we can get back to playtesting this level. I'm really excited to see how this first level turns out. Getting the last of our bricks in place here. Oh, what'd I tell you? There's always one spot. Always fly around. And I'll tell you, with the hotkeys, those are so nice. It does go a lot quicker. But this is looking really, really sharp. I like the look of the brick. I like how low to the ground it is, so it's not standing up too tall. Oopsie. We forgot to put our flag in. I'm definitely going to go with the purple from the Haunted Mansion pack. matches our theme. I really want to go with like a dark, you know, haunted theme, or like a, you know, corrupted theme. Raising the goal. This little yellow box here, when the ball passes through it, that is when you receive your score. So that's just the little spawn area that just lets the game know that that's the goalpost. And I like the look of that. So I think that's pretty much everything we need. So there's the hole you want to go in, there's the one you don't want to go in, and there's the one you definitely don't want to go in, because you end up way down here and have to make your way all the way around. So I'd say, I don't know what par this is going to be, but I'm really excited. Let's try it out. Oh, too hard. Alright, let's see if I can't get this angle just right. Nope. That's kind of a tough shot. I'll have to practice that. That one's very satisfying. I like that a lot. Not bad. I think that's a fair par right there. I'll try to get this other spot here. Ooh, great shot. That's the one we want. Oh, that's nice. I like how it jumps right over that little block we put in the corner piece. Nice birdie. I really like this layout of the hole, actually. This is great design. That sounds a little vain. A little pretentious there. Just pat myself on the back. No, but I really do think that like something simple like this really does go a long way. Like, it forces the player to utilize speed, angles, all that stuff. Let's try a little trick shot here. Come on. Boom. I'm very happy with that. And now the only thing left to decide is all the decoration options that we have. We have a lot of scenery at our disposal. See, I have a few extra packs downloaded. This Corrupted Forest pack, I have a lot of ideas for this one. I really do get excited when I see a new scenery pack in the game that they've put in for DLC. And this one has windows that are illuminated. I think we're going to use a lot of those to make these look like buildings here on the walls. I'm just noticing this looks like a number 4 right now, actually. This whole looks like a 4 layout from above, kind of. That's kind of cool. But they also have these blue mushrooms that glow. They've got, you know, big red cracks in the ground. We used those actually in the last episode. If you watched Bear's Cove finale, you saw me use some of that stuff. And so kind of got me thinking, I want to create a whole world kind of with the Corrupted Forest pack. And I want to try to make it look like this, like, kind of like, I don't know, like a Wasteland type area. So I'm thinking a lot of ideas, a lot of fun thoughts, but first you got to make the holes. So we got hole 1 done, or whatever hole this is going to end up being. I'm not sure yet, but I'm just excited to see what this turns into. I hope you guys enjoy the ride, but I think we're going to call it there. And on the next episode, we will get to work on hole 2. But until then, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next episode. Peace.